what we like and dislike from the FIFA Club World Cup. I am with the two pundits, Coach John Martinez and Carlos Castro. Hi, I'm Diego Cerrone, your host for the Pub Footy podcast. How's it going, guys?
I'm doing good,
Fantastic.
man. It's Tuesday. Well, we're recording on Tuesday. Last day of the week for me, summer disconnect. So I'm off for the rest of the week.
Lovely.
Um, I mean, not much shit to do, right? It's gonna rain today. Tomorrow it's gonna rain. Thursday, I think it's gonna be a nice day, but Friday, 4th of July, we're gonna have a good day.
The weather has been quite interesting here in the tri-state area. I feel like it's either hot or raining. No good summer days, at least not right.
Yeah, I mean, we went like a month and a half of rain every Saturday, right?
It's
Pretty
brutal.
nippy too. Yeah, it's pretty cold.
I missed the heat wave. How was that?
Brutal, brutal,
No
brutal, brutal.
bueno. No
I don't,
bueno.
my fucking. Oh, I mean, we saw you this weekend. My face is peeling right now.
Oh, same.
Bad.
My nose is
I'm
not
not.
doing too great.
I got a lot of melanin in me.
Lesson learned: if it's an overcast day, still got to wear sunscreen.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, it was
cooked.
brutal.
Well, nice shirt, guys. I feel like this is the first time we've all worn these kits, so it shows that
Yeah.
we got some new kits in the closet.
Okay.
Like I told you guys through our chat, would love to talk about what we liked and disliked from both tournaments. We're gonna do two videos. This one will be the Club World Cup, but since Carlos has the Al Hilal jersey, I think Carlos, you should start. What have you liked about the Club World Cup so far?
Honestly, I'm happy that the European teams aren't dominating through the whole tournament. That's what was expected. I think coming into the tournament, that's what honestly the odd makers in Vegas have had. The European teams dominating, the European teams making it to the final, winning the group, and honestly, that's not what's happened, right? So it's cool seeing the smaller teams from South America, even some of the African and Asian teams, like the fans come out and support, create some upsets and create some storylines to get behind. And the Brazilian fans, of course, they've been insane to see.
The Al Hilal game was insane yesterday. It was back and forth. It was like the what was it, the Porto game, right? With the was it the Egyptian team
Yeah,
Egyptian
here in MetLife? Was it the same scoreline? It was that one was I think it was 4-4, right?
4-4,
4-4.
yeah.
So was
It
that
was a successful hate watch yesterday.
yeah, it was a good
People don't
video.
know I was a diehard fan growing up. This is my childhood club, and to get a big win over Man City, I was crying yesterday. It was a big
Tears of
moment.
joy?
Yeah, tears, big tears.
You have is it a specific player kit you have on?
No, no, just empty because we buy a lot of players. They come and go for a season, so it's hard to get one with the name in the back.
When did you actually
So
get that
bad.
jersey?
3 weeks ago at Pegasus.
Oh, lovely. Nice.
Yeah, they
Nice.
had it on sale. It was like $60.
Shout out to Pegasus, our local jersey kit store in the Ironbound. Cool. Okay. So European teams haven't been dominating. I think it was good for the tournament. I think we needed that.
Yep.
So agree. John, what have you liked about the Club World Cup?
I mean, pretty similar to Carlos's response. I think just the competition and it being kind of a level playing field, right? I think getting to watch the lower teams, right? The lower teams kind of compete with these higher end teams with a bigger budget and getting the results, right? And I think so far the tournament has been a success. So for those who've said this tournament wasn't going to be a success, I think it's been pretty successful, pretty entertaining, and people buying into it, right? Where we have fans from all over kind of buying into the football culture and bringing it here, which I think is massive for the states, right? Because like we said, it's a dress rehearsal for the World Cup, right? So we're kind of getting a little bit of like what we should expect next summer, right? So I think that's fantastic for us for the game. So yeah.
Would you say it's successful because, like Carlos said, there's been some good upsets? The European teams have been pushed to their limits? Or would you say it's a success because quality of the games have been good, in your opinion, etc.?
In terms of quality, I think you've seen it. Like I think I'm not gonna really say the quality, right, in terms of football has been there, right? Because you've seen whether it's like teams being very dominant and then another team kind of sitting in and just kind of grinding the result out. I mean, it is what it is. You're here to win games. You're not here to look pretty. And with that and the backing of your fan base, I think that's been a success, right? So little teams kind of grinding it out and doing that part of it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I think the quality hasn't been there. I think we can all agree there's been certain games where
Some games.
yeah, yeah, I would say overall the quality has been pretty mid personally, but they have been entertaining. The game yesterday, I mean, even the Boca Bayern game, right? Like Bayern was dominating, should have probably won by a bigger scoreline, but Boca sat back, defended, did what they had to do. The fans got behind them. One of the best like games that was like in the stands, right? The Boca fans were they made the Hard Rock look like La Bombonera, which was
Yeah.
awesome to watch.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I'll take if you think about like just quality. Like obviously it's a World Cup, right? There's gonna be different levels at the teams participating, right? Even at like a normal World Cup with countries. I mean, I'll take an entertaining game over a high quality game, right? Like just as a casual fan trying to watch it.
Yeah, I
Like
think that's where we'll agree, right? We're like it's entertaining because of what it produces, right?
yeah,
Where
like
the
the
smaller,
context.
correct, right? Like someone the other day when I had said the River game and Inter was fun and entertaining to watch, I thought it was quality, but in regards to kind of just the overall like kind of context behind it and what the game gave to us,
yeah,
right? So obviously I'm not looking at River Plate to combine and
Yeah.
knock the ball around through the fucking back and find their eight and spring it and third man runners, right? Because guess
yeah,
what? People looking for that are just full of shit and are just very textbook and hey, listen, we know the game right here in the head. But it's more than just that, right? Where like you said, it's kind of a World Cup kind of thing where there's teams of different standards who are just coming out here to do their best with their fan base who get behind them. And that's kind of what's so beautiful and so good about this tournament and the World Cup, right? So the little teams can do these things to big teams, and that's what's entertainment. That's what's quality about it. So
yeah. Yeah, totally agree. The quality of the games could be better, but again, it happens. It happens even at the World Cup, right? Sometimes you get a team um, of very low quality that just, what are they going to do, right? They just sit back, they try to find their counterattack, whatever. But it has produced some really great comebacks, some really great upsets.
Good
I think
storylines.
good storylines like the team from New Zealand, right? Like with all like semi-pro players, right? Players that are teachers that had to call out of work to participate. The guy, right? I think that was the guy, right? Was he the teacher that scored against Boca? Like he'll forever be
I'm not
known.
sure.
He'll forever be known as the guy who scored against Boca Juniors, right? So what's crazy is that I had no idea about that team. I think there wasn't enough hype or storylines about that team until the tournament actually started and people actually realized like, oh, like this team's actually a semi-pro team. But that was a good storyline. I think for me, you guys both mentioned it, but the fan bases, especially the non-European fan bases, I think really brought it. South America, Asia, these fan bases really took it seriously, and you saw it reflect in the players. So I feel like those were the teams that took it like a World Cup. They treated it on the pitch, off the pitch. They were doing meetings like day before, 2 days before the games, like doing banderazos. Like they were really properly treating this like a World Cup. And I think that's what this tournament needed as a first go. And again, like the Boca Junior fans, packing beaches in Miami, and then you get the River Plate fans like flying the banner about the Copa Libertadores win like over them. Like all these little different storylines that happen like is what made this World Cup or Club World Cup really fun. I mean, me being at the River game in Seattle, man, those River fans, like I got goosebumps because they really made me feel like I was in El Monumental. There was like 25,000 River Plate fans, but man, it was sick. It was sick to feel that energy, to feel like you're in South America, even though I'm all the way in Seattle, Washington. Carlos, you went to a few games, right? The Chelsea Flamengo game. Talk to us about that and that
Um,
experience.
well, I mean, honestly, I was surprised that Brazil was going to show up the way they showed up. I know obviously there's a big Brazilian population, right? There's so many teams, but and Flamengo's one of the most the big one of the biggest teams in Brazil. But for them to just sell that out and party and drink before the game and have flares going off, they treated that like you mentioned like a World Cup game. That was their World Cup, and the fans came out and supported that way. And as players, Chelsea was playing an away game. So that's what helps those smaller teams as well when they're treating it like a real game. The fans are treating it like it's a World Cup game, and you see it on the pitch, and their belief grows when the hype is there behind them.
but like this is like a normal thing for them. It's not like a World Cup game. It's like a regular home game, right? It's just
Should
like
yeah.
right.
Right.
This is what they do on like a weekly basis when they play teams, right? And it's like obviously it works out perfectly, right? Where they can vacation, right? They come out with their families or they come out with their boys or whoever it is, and they come out, they vacation in America, and at the same time you get to experience it, right? And they get to follow their squad around and kind of let them know, hey, listen, we support our team at 100% and we love this game. And it kind of like sticks out compared to the Europeans, right? They really don't give a shit. They're pretentious and kind of like I think they're what's the right word I'm looking for? Kind of like they it's not that big of a deal
Arrogant?
to them. Yeah, I don't want to say arrogant. It's just
A
like
little like pompous. Like
pomp. Yeah, they're too good for it.
yeah,
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 they're
I
too
would
good for this tournament, right? Like, there's, I mean, all the European teams complained about it, not all of them, but like, especially the English teams, like the conditions, the heat,
yeah,
that I guess that's why they don't travel. I guess like it's a long season and then they have to go play this, like it's like BS. So, I mean, if it wasn't for these teams, like the African, the
South
South American
American,
teams,
yeah,
this would be a pretty dull tournament, because
100%
those
agree.
fans they didn't really care about this, right? I guess they're too good for this tournament, but thankfully these teams showed up because thank the Lord.
I saw a stat though that it showed the amount of games played over the last 365 days, and like the top 5 teams were all Brazilian teams, like over the
Right,
European teams.
I did
Like it
see
was
that.
like Flamengo, I think, was number one.
Yeah, they play a lot. They play a lot of like regional tournaments.
Yeah, so those excuses of it was the end of the season, they're tired, and those excuses that the European teams had, South American teams played way more games than over the course of the year, so it's hard to use that as an excuse.
What
Yeah.
I also really liked and what gave it a World Cup feel was seeing these videos of in Brazil, right? They're doing like a fan fest, watching the game
Uh,
on the big screen, right? That also gives you that World Cup feel. It shows you how passionate these fans are because they're not doing that in Europe, right? Like I haven't really seen any European team do that. And I hope this was kind of like a wake up call for the European team. So hopefully in 4 years they're like, all right, let's bring it. Let's bring it this time, right? Like I would love to see Inter Milan 30,000 strong on one side and River Plate 30,000 strong on the other side, right? Because when I went to a Inter Milan game, like the fans are nuts, and that whole side is standing up, cheering loud, like again, goosebumps. Like I got goosebumps from being in at the San Siro for the Inter Milan game. So we'd love to see that. We'd love to see the European teams bring it. We'd love to see hopefully maybe Liverpool, right? You'll never walk alone with 60, 70,000 strong and have the American fans or whoever hosts the next one like really, really feel that. That's kind of my hope for this next one.
What was
Yeah.
also cool though, a lot of these South American teams, right, maybe like people's dads or grandfathers or mothers or whatever. It was probably the first time seeing their team play in
Yep.
a long time, or the first time, since maybe they moved to America that they've seen them play. So I saw a lot of stories like that, and a lot of videos of uncles and grandfathers crying because the first time they've seen them play. So I thought that was cool as well.
Yeah, 100%. So I think a lot of positives from the Club World Cup. There's definitely things we wish they were better at or things to improve on for next year. I'll start off with you, Johnny. What have you disliked from the Club World Cup? It could be one thing, it could be a couple of things. I think there's a lot of holes to poke to in this tournament.
think just off like a logistical thing, I guess just like the planning of like the times of when they should be when they should be played, like the games, because like it's kind of tough. Like people who work getting out for like literally at noon kickoff or at a 3 p.m. kickoff, in these big cities. So I think in terms of that, if you make it more accessible for a large demographic in bigger cities, I think the outcome it just turns out a lot better, right? So for me, I think that was the biggest thing. And probably if nothing else comes to mind, maybe if you guys say something, it'll spark something.
I think
But
Yeah,
I sorry, Carlos. I think like tying to what Carlos said about how the betters picked the European teams to do really well, it almost
okay.
seemed like the games were favored for the fans in Europe to watch the games, right? Because you have to think like DAZN or DAZN, however you say it,
Mm,
right? They bought the rights globally for the games. So you'd have to think at that when they were planning this and were planning the times, they were like, okay, Man City, all these other teams who Man City, Atletico Madrid, like all these teams who didn't make it that far, they're gonna be in these final rounds, and we're gonna have games at 3 o'clock. Like we saw, like the two semifinals are at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, right? So 3 p.m. here is 9 or 10 in Europe. That's at least a decent time for both time zones. I think that had something to do with it. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think being that global streaming had something to do with some of these different times.
yeah,
Carlos, what do you
I
think?
agree. I think obviously they're pandering to the European teams, thinking they're gonna make it farther in the tournament because a 3 p.m. semifinal game on the East Coast makes zero sense, right? It's hard to pack a stadium midday during the week. But again, they're pandering to the European teams who they expected to make it that far into the tournament. And I guess besides that, one thing I didn't like were the weather delays. 5 minutes left in the game, and 4 hours later you're playing the last 5 minutes, right?
Brutal.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
That's so bad. And next year at the World Cup, it's gonna be summertime again. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be humid, thunderstorm, like a quick passing shower, right? So it could happen next year. So I think they either, if there's like 5 minutes left, you just play it. I can't see how they can stop a World Cup game for
You
two
know,
hours.
you know what's crazy to me is that like maybe I don't watch the MLS enough, but I feel like there hasn't been that many delays in the MLS,
It was weird this last. I mean, it was a
right?
heat wave. It was really hot and humid the last
Yeah.
2 weeks here, so
But I
it's
just
weird that I've never seen so many weather delays in my life, and we got
never.
like five in the last week.
Until someone gets struck by lightning.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
a
mean,
lawsuit.
yeah, it
Yeah.
really was. It really was surprising how many weather delays like this.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe the cities they picked or the times that they set these games. I don't know. It just really highlighted. Obviously, we're such a big country, right? So there's different climates during the summer, but it really highlighted like, this could be a real problem for them next year. You can't have people pay high price ticket items and have a 4-hour weather delay.
Imagine being up 1-0, 5 minutes left, get a fucking 3-hour weather delay. You
no
come back
way.
and you equalize, and now I'd be
It's kind of like
fucking
that's what happened at the Chelsea game.
fuming.
Dude, I couldn't believe that that game went to overtime. Like
Yeah,
so many hours, and then I was driving back, and then I'm like, wait a second, the game's still happening. They tied it. Like, couldn't believe it. So
yeah.
they definitely have a big problem on their hands. Don't know how they're gonna fix it, to be honest. Hard to avoid it in some of these cities that they've picked to do the World Cup games. So
Yeah.
big problem in their hands. I don't know exactly what they're gonna do.
Back to the time thing, like next year, I guess, for the Club World Cup, we only incorporated the East Coast, so also plays a part as why the times kind of haven't been the best. Next year, I mean, I would hope there's no noon games, like obviously, mid-afternoon, like right under the sun at noon, that's not a ideal soccer
Yeah.
temperature to play, right? So I'm hoping for some late games. When we went to Qatar, I think the last game was at like 10 p.m.
10. Yeah, it was 10.
And that can happen here, right? We have the West Coast 3 hours behind. Some
Yeah.
games can be going on at 10 p.m. So I would say like hopefully the first game maybe 2 p.m. It's not the best, but better than noon.
Yeah, I'm curious as well, and like, there's more teams, right? So there's gonna be more games, so you're gonna have
Yeah.
to squeeze it. There's probably gonna be some shitty times. I'm assuming they're gonna have maybe the shittier games on the worst times, but really tough to navigate. Really tough to
That ain't
navigate. Yeah, that's what I saw some tweet right about 9 a.m. games. No way. There's just no
That's
way.
crazy.
You know what's crazy is
start
that
bruising at 6.
you
I
know
mean, it's the weather's better at 9 a.m. than it is at noon.
Of course.
what's crazy that we're not talking about and maybe forgetting is that the World Cup's not just in the US, right? Like there's
Oh yeah,
Canada, there's Mexico, and Mexico has some really nutty showers every so often. So I don't know. I really don't know what's gonna happen, guys. But
Fuck
it'll be
Canada.
it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Okay. What did I dislike? I think you guys hit both points. I think I'm gonna double down on the European fans. I think the European fans really disappointed me. Again, was expecting a bit more from them, but yeah, I think at least from what I've seen, I don't really think I've seen proper European ultras go to any of these games. It's only been like PSG Seattle or Benfica New York, like or Porto New York. Like I haven't really seen proper ultras, which is a big miss, I think, for the tournament. So I'm gonna double down on that. I wish these European ultras really brought it 'cause I think it would have added just another level of excitement for the tournament. And then obviously that also coincides with the empty stadiums, right? Like the stadiums haven't been as packed, and we can blame the time, we can blame the weather, we can blame ticket pricing, all of it. All of it, I think, is part to blame for the low attendance in a lot of the games. Do you guys think it would have been better if they were in MLS stadiums most of the game?
Probably. I think
100%.
wasn't one game at Geodis, or am I
Yeah, there's a
bugging?
few
Yeah,
games
a
where
few.
there.
And then there was some in the Orlando City Stadium, I believe.
Last night.
No, that game was in it was in Orlando, but it wasn't in the soccer specific stadium. It was in like a college stadium, like a 55, 60,000 college stadium.
Oh, sick.
So they used two stadiums in Orlando,
Yeah,
which I didn't realize until yesterday.
no sick. But yeah, I think so. I think they should use the smaller stadiums. Imagine Red Bull Arena packed out with Flamingo and fucking or
Botafogo Palmeiras at Red Bull.
I'll take it. I'll
bro,
take it.
insanity.
Oh, Porto Fluminense at Red Bull, bro. That should have been insane.
And the soccer stadiums already have grass implemented. You hear some of these
Correct.
European teams bitching about the grass, right? And again, that's going to be a problem for next year. But all these stadiums have grass already implemented, so I think it could have eliminated some of the problems. But yeah, like it's so interesting how FIFA like changed people's seats. So it showed the TV side, it showed packed, but then when they pan the camera, you see the other side empty.
Empty as fuck.
Yeah. I think there definitely things to improve on, but the empty stadiums was a big blow as well.
Yeah.
Okay, any closing thoughts on the Club World Cup?
I would
No more
say
walkouts.
no more
Oh man, that
walkouts.
was bad
Yeah,
as
they
well.
weren't the best. I say South American footy back on the map.
I love that. I love that.
Back on the map.
Good one. I think that's huge. I mean, South American footy. I mean, particularly Brazil, because something's going on in Argentina where Boca Juniors has been struggling
Didn't
through.
look too good either.
Yeah, Boca Juniors struggling through Libertadores qualifiers. So sacking Gago, and now this new guy maybe look a little better, but they've been struggling with their own things for quite a bit. And like Diego said, River didn't look that good either. They're probably losing their best young player now too to Real Madrid. So Brazilian football holding it down.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that point, John, I think there has to be a way to change the teams that qualify, right? Because you get some teams that, aren't informed, right? So maybe some teams are maybe a team like won the Champions League or they won something like 2, 3 years ago and now they're in the tournament. And then
Yeah,
it's a different team, different coach probably. So I would love to see more informed teams in this tournament. I don't know how that's going to happen. It's too many factors to play into it, but
yeah,
it'd be great to see, like, imagine if we saw, like, the actual teams from South America that were in form, right? Do
Would've
you
been
know what I
crazy.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it would have been even more
better.
competition.
Yeah,
Uh, Same team for the teams in Europe. Like, to be honest, the Portuguese teams weren't that good, right? Maybe if we could replace them with some of the better European teams, even better. So again, I think there could be a way to improve the teams that qualify, get more informed teams, get solid 32 teams here, and have the disparity not be so big.
all over the
Um,
place.
yeah,
I mean, I think next year or the next Club World Cup, it's gonna be here. I think is what they're saying again. Um, I think it's just gonna be overall better. I think maybe for this year they're testing out these stadiums, testing out what the pitch. It was practice, right? So maybe next time it's in a smaller soccer-specific stadium. They care less about the big stadiums, and I think overall it'll be better. And overall, I think it's been a success, right? Compared to the year-over-year tournament that happens in December, where it's like 5 teams, right? I think overall this means a lot more than that tournament.
it's given it more meaning. I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.